The rain hadn't stopped for 3 days straight. It fell with the kind of relentless sadness that seemed to match the heaviness inside her heart. Every drop that hit the cracked sidewalk echoed her struggle, the long nights, the hunger, the shame, and the silent prayers that went unanswered. Her name was Emily Dawson, once a bright college student with dreams of becoming a nurse, now a homeless single mother clutching her thin, shivering daughter close beneath a torn umbrella. The world had been cruel, and the city that once glittered with opportunity had turned into a maze of cold eyes and closed doors. She had learned how to survive on scraps, how to hide her tears in front of her child, and how to smile even when the ache in her chest made it hard to breathe. Every morning she woke up hoping that maybe today would be different, that maybe someone would see her not as a burden, but as a human being who had simply lost her way. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of unseen love, then take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness of Americans. Because stories like this, true or inspired by truth, remind us that hope can still be found in the most unexpected places. It had been months since Emily last had a warm meal. The streets of Seattle had become her battlefield, her cardboard shelter tucked behind a bakery where the smell of fresh bread teased her every morning. Her daughter, Lily, was 5 years old, too young to understand why they couldn't go home, but old enough to know what hunger felt like. Emily often gave her portion of food to Lily, lying that she wasn't hungry. She'd whisper stories about how Mommy was saving room for dessert while her stomach twisted with emptiness. One freezing evening, a volunteer told her about a local soup kitchen, Grace Haven. It was a small church-run place where the poor could find a meal, a kind word, and maybe even a little hope. Emily hesitated. Shame had built a wall around her heart. She didn't want to be seen like this, a worn-out, hollow version of who she used to be. But Lily's small voice, "Mommy, can we go get soup?" broke through that pride. That night, Emily wrapped her daughter in her only blanket and walked through the rain toward Grace Haven. The smell of warm food hit her before she even reached the door. Chicken stew, fresh bread, and something she hadn't felt in a long time, compassion. Inside, volunteers moved like quiet angels, ladling soup, pouring tea, and speaking with gentleness. Emily felt her throat tighten. It wasn't the food that made her emotional. It was the kindness. She hadn't seen eyes look at her without judgment in so long. As she took her tray and guided Lily to a corner table, her gaze drifted across the room. And then, for just a moment, her heart stopped. Behind the serving counter stood a man in a simple grey sweater, his sleeves rolled up, laughter lines faintly visible around his eyes. He was handing out bowls of soup with a smile that seemed strangely familiar. Emily blinked, her breath catching in disbelief. It couldn't be. Nathan Carter, her first love. The boy who had once promised her the world beneath the old oak tree behind their high school. The man who had vanished from her life after college, taking with him every piece of her heart. She hadn't seen him in almost 8 years, and now, here he was, serving soup at a church kitchen, his hands rough but steady, his smile softer than she remembered. Emily's pulse raced, but she quickly turned away, ashamed of how she looked. Her hair tangled, her clothes worn thin, her face tired and pale. What would he think if he saw her like this? Once, she was the girl who used to dance barefoot in the rain, laughing at his terrible jokes. Now, she was just another face in the crowd of the forgotten. Nathan didn't seem to notice her that night. He was busy, focused, kind, his eyes filled with a quiet humility. But as Emily ate her soup and watched him from afar, memories flooded back. The long walks, the shared dreams, the night they planned their future together. She had believed they were meant to last forever, until life tore them apart. Nathan had gone to medical school on a scholarship, and she She had found herself pregnant, abandoned by someone else entirely, struggling to survive. Their paths had split like two rivers going opposite ways. For the next few weeks, Emily returned to the soup kitchen every night. She sat quietly in the back with Lily, watching Nathan serve with that same gentle warmth. Sometimes he'd glance in her direction, and she'd quickly lower her eyes. She couldn't let him recognize her. Not like this. Not when she had nothing left but the fragile pride of survival. What she didn't know was that Nathan had seen her. The very first night she walked in, he froze mid-step, almost dropping the ladle. He recognized her instantly, the same soft eyes, the same hesitant smile, though life had clearly been unkind. His chest had ached when he saw the little girl beside her. He didn't need to ask. He knew Emily's story had taken a painful turn, but Nathan also knew that if he revealed himself too soon, she might run away. She was proud, and he understood that pride. It was what had always made her strong. So he helped her silently. Every donation he made to Grace Haven, every extra meal he paid for, every coat and blanket that appeared just when she needed it, all of it came from him. No one knew. Not even the head volunteer. Nathan had built a quiet life as a doctor after years of struggle, dedicating his fortune to helping the homeless, because once upon a time he too had faced despair. His mother had died on the streets when he was a boy, and he had sworn never to let another soul suffer unseen. But now, standing behind the counter each night, watching Emily and her child, he realized that fate had brought him back not just to his mission, but to his heart. As winter deepened, Emily fell sick. The cold had seeped into her lungs, and Lily's tiny hands could barely keep her warm. One night she didn't make it to Grace Haven. Nathan noticed her absence immediately. When she didn't show up the next day, he asked around and finally found her huddled beneath the bridge near Pike Street, unconscious, her daughter crying beside her. Without hesitation, he carried her to his car, wrapped her in his coat, and rushed her to the hospital. When Emily woke up days later, she was in a warm bed. The soft hum of hospital machines filled the air, and Lily was asleep in a chair beside her. Confusion clouded her mind. Then the door opened. Nathan walked in, his eyes full of emotion he could no longer hide. Emily stared, disbelief and tears colliding. He smiled gently, sitting at the edge of her bed. She tried to speak, to apologize, to hide her shame, but he silenced her with kindness. "You don't have to say anything," his voice trembled. "I've been watching over you, Emily. Not because I pity you, but because I never stopped caring." She broke down then, sobbing in the way only the exhausted do, not from weakness, but from years of holding everything in. Nathan held her hand, and in that fragile moment, the years of pain melted away. She learned that he had been the silent benefactor funding the soup kitchen all along, that every warm meal she had shared with her daughter had been possible because of him. For the first time in years, Emily felt seen, truly seen. Not as a burden, not as a failure, but as the same woman who had once been loved deeply. Nathan helped her get back on her feet, found her a small apartment, and arranged part-time work at the hospital's community outreach program. She started helping others, the same way she had once been helped. As months passed, their connection grew stronger, not through romance alone, but through shared purpose. Together, they rebuilt what life had stolen. Grace Haven became their home again, not just a place for food, but a place where lost souls found warmth, faith, and love reborn. And sometimes, when the volunteers laughed or the children played, Emily would look across the room at Nathan, still in that same grey sweater, and feel tears of gratitude fill her eyes. Fate had been cruel once, but kindness had the final word. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness of Americans. Your support helps spread stories of hope, redemption, and compassion to people who need to believe that goodness still exists.